Hi everyone, I'm Sharon from Angelics-Speak.com. Welcome to my channel. I channel archangels, and I so hope that all of you are doing okay, that you're well, that you're able to get food and the things that you need for your family and you. I also hope that you're staying peaceful and letting go of the fears and worries that are so easy to have at this time. Without further ado, let's start. Hello, dear ones. This is Sophia. Welcome. Today, I would like to address a question that has arisen on YouTube that is relevant to every single one of you. The question was, why is there so much suffering in the world? Everyone is suffering right now. And although it isn't true that every single person in the world is suffering right now, a very large amount of you are, or at least someone that you know. The virus has run rampant over a number of countries, including the US, and people are often struggling. They may have lost their jobs. There isn't money for food, to pay the mortgage or the rent, to do the car payments, to pay for heat or air conditioning, or to keep the lights on even. We all are sending you our love and our compassion right now. But to answer this question, I would like to teach you first how to listen to the answer, because the answer I'm going to give you is not one that will be easy to digest with your conscious mind, at least for some of you. When you listen to the messages from each of us, try to listen with your heart, not just your mind. The mind is intricately involved with the ego. It differentiates, it criticizes, it compares, it analyzes. And while these are very important qualities to live in your world, the messages that we will share at times, and that I will today, cannot be analyzed by the mind. Because for some of you at least, you have not had any experiences yet of what I'm going to speak about. So it won't make sense, and it will be very easy to criticize without understanding it. So open your hearts. Become very quiet. Go deep in your own heart while you listen to this answer. And allow your heart to tell you if it feels right or not for you. Remember, we the archangels live in a very different world than you do. There are no structures or forms where we are. We're in a world of light. But we can connect with each of you to understand what you're going through. We, however, also connect with the higher parts of you, which are not in your world, for only a small portion of the total of you is living in your world. But when you come as a baby to your world, to Earth, there is a mechanism which many of you call a veil that keeps you from remembering where you came from and who you truly are. It is because of this veil that many of you are suffering. Now listen with your heart. Each of you, when you are not in physical form, are also having experiences and learning. There are higher parts of you, there are less evolved parts of you, and all of those parts are exploring the realities that you exist in. When you decide with your teachers, your guides, and your masters to take form again, to experience yourself taking form, which is more accurate, you do plan some of the events that will occur in your life. Often, in the zeal of wanting to open your awareness higher and accelerate your inner growth, some of you plan a lot of challenges. For you see, when you're in a beautiful, peaceful, loving space that you are when you're not in physical form, it's very easy to think, oh, I want to experience this and that, because you forget the sensation of how difficult it is. So often your guides and masters have to pull some of you back and say, wait a minute. You don't need all of these at once. It's too much. It's too hard. At this point in your time, with the coronavirus, the weather changes, the earthquakes, the droughts, the floods, so many things happening on your earth at once. A vast amount of you are experiencing great, great challenges. Some of them are health challenges, some financial, some loss and grief, and a large quantity of you fear. It is very understandable, because coming to the experience of being on earth, you are coming to school. This world is not designed to be a paradise. Not as long as each of you have veiled consciousness. Instead, it often reflects thoughts, ideas, emotions back to each of you so that you can sort them out and overcome them. When you are not in a physical form, or at least the experience of a physical form, you forget just how difficult these challenges are going to be. You forget the wide variety of emotions, the strain, the distress, the fears, and the grief that come with these intense challenges that are set forth. However, when you're having the experience of living in a physical form, it's raw. It's intense. It's painful. And many of you do not have any other perspective of who you are besides who you are in this world right now. You may not have any belief system that tells you that you will live on, or you may have some form of a religious belief that may or may not give you the whole picture. So it is extremely difficult. You ask for help in your suffering, and help doesn't come. And then you suffer more. So let's talk for a moment what suffering is versus pain. Now, all of you probably understand pain. Certainly physical pain is obvious because almost everybody has experienced at least some form of it, right? You have a terrible headache. You broke your leg. You burned yourself in some way. Whatever the motive or the method, it hurts. It's a physiological sensation that you experience. There's also emotional pain. But emotional pain is a little different because it's connected intimately to the mind, to your thoughts, to your beliefs. So we're going to leave that out of the picture for a minute and just look at physical pain. This is actually one of the challenges that some of you give yourselves, to have a serious medical illness or an injury that doesn't heal, or taking care of someone that is going through that so that you also witness their pain. So you all understand pain. What is suffering? I'm going to give you a definition for at least this video of suffering, because we view suffering very differently than we view physical pain. First, there's some kind of pain. Then there's suffering, because suffering evolves because of your thoughts, your beliefs, and the emotional charge around them regarding your pain. So you may have a chronic medical illness, for example, that gives you physical pain, physical distress at times, or all the time. How you relate to that with your mind and then your emotions is the suffering part. What you think about it, how you feel about it, what you perceive you may have lost because of it. Lost relationships, lost opportunities, lost jobs, and what your belief systems are about losing those things. That leads to suffering. And that suffering can go on and on even when the physical pain is not present. So let's go back to the moment right now, because after all, that's all there is. Many people are experiencing suffering. They're also experiencing loss, lack, and possibly grief. What's important to look at for each of you who are experiencing those things is how you're relating to them. Are you angry and fighting? Are you depressed and crying, withdrawn? Have you reached out to help others? Or are you just sitting alone, watching the news all day? Are you overwhelmed with fear about what's coming? There are certainly difficult predictions. Your medical people have given predictions that are not easy. The scientists have made predictions. And many spiritual beings have made predictions about the future, which may or may not come to pass. But certainly, the way many feet are pointed, it looks like you are walking into some very difficult times for some of you. This is the challenge. This is the lesson set out for a large group of you all over your planet. How will each of you handle this crisis? And how will you as a group in your governments handle this challenge, this crisis? There are a myriad of ways. We're not going to tell you what to do because each of you may have a different lesson in this. For some of you, your lesson may be to reach out to others and help. For others, it may be to heal. And for others, maybe even to fight the illness and win or lose. For some of you, there is grief and having to deal with the finality of a loved one, at least in your world. So there are a myriad of lessons and challenges inherent in this one big challenge. How will each of you deal with it? And what is the highest way for an individual to deal with it? Those are questions to contemplate. For each of you to lift up and hold in your heart to see what is my lesson right now in this experience. What can I learn from it? What is it teaching me? How can I grow by going through this? The one universal thing that each of you can do is to learn to become quieter in your mind, to go deep enough inside that you are no longer dominated by your fears, your doubts, and your worries, so that you can find a space of inner peace. This is the most healing and soothing thing each of you can do for yourselves. And in that space, inspiration arises. This is the space where you can find what to do next. What are you learning? And how to learn it even better. How to flow with grace through these crises. How to grow and expand through the difficulties that each of you have set forth for yourselves. You are in school. And no matter how much some of you hated school when you were in it as a child, the higher part of you really wanted this. Not the suffering part, but the learning part. And the fastest way sometimes to learn is to be stretched beyond your boundaries, to have to become stronger because of adversity. Think about it. Some of you want to build strong muscles, look macho. Isn't there a saying in your world, no pain, no gain? If you want to build muscle, you have to work at it. It doesn't just come like that, right? You stretch, you push, and then you go home and everything aches. That is a very simple analogy to what is happening for each of you. You are being stretched. And if you look at it just like working out, you can change your thoughts about this experience. It's not easy. We know that. But it is very, very possible. And you will not be as contracted or egocentric at the end of this as you were. It will transform you, whether you're fighting, kicking, and screaming, or surrendering peacefully. Live in this moment. Always live in the moment. If you let your fears project into the future, it will overwhelm you. Stay in the here and now. What can I do right now for myself, for my family, for my friends, if that feels right? Stay present. In this moment, everything exists. To the degree that you can quiet your mind, things can shift for you. Learn to be still. Learn serenity, even in this storm that you're experiencing. Stay in a space of love. You're exercising spiritual muscles. You're stretching them. You're strengthening them. And when you leave the experience of being in this form, you will be so much more full of light, so much freer than you've ever been before. Embrace your challenges, but stay in balance. Give yourself rest. Humble yourself if you need to ask for help, to get food in a food line. You have no doubt given before. This is your time to receive. Be gentle with yourselves. And have compassion for others, because every single person is trying to figure out how to deal with this as well. Be at peace. All of us send every single one of you so much love and blessings. I am Archangel Sophia.